Let's go. I was making coffee when the moving truck pulled into my driveway. Not a moving truck. The moving truck. The massive kind with hydraulic lifts and 2 men and a truck emblazoned across the side. The kind you hire when you're relocating an entire household. I set down my mug and walked to the front window. My sister Bethany climbed out of her SUV, one hand on her rounded belly, the other clutching a set of keys. Keys that looked suspiciously like mine. Behind her, my mother emerged from the passenger seat wearing her church smile. The one she used when she was about to deliver bad news but wanted you to thank her for it. I opened the door before they could knock. Emma. Bethany beamed, jangling the keys. Mom and Dad gave us your house. Isn't that amazing? The baby needs a proper nursery and you know our apartment is way too small. I stared at the keys. Then at her belly. Then at my mother who was already directing the movers toward my front door. I'm sorry, I said slowly. You're moving into my house? Our house, my mother corrected. Family homes belong to the family, sweetheart. Your father and I discussed it, and with the baby coming, Bethany needs stability. You're only one person. You don't need all this space. My father's truck pulled up behind the moving van. He stepped out, clipboard in hand, already checking boxes like this was a corporate acquisition. The house I've been paying the mortgage on for 5 years? I asked, my voice rising. The house with my name on the mortgage statement? Dad didn't even look up from his clipboard. Family homes stay in the family, Emma. You'll understand someday when you have children of your own. He paused, glancing at me. If you ever do. The dig landed exactly as he intended. Bethany's husband Derek started unloading boxes from their SUV. Baby gear mostly. A crib still in its packaging. A glider chair. A changing table. We're thinking soft yellow for the nursery, Bethany said, squeezing past me into my foyer. Gender neutral, you know. Oh, and we'll need your bedroom. It has the best natural light. I stood there, frozen, watching my family dismantle my life with the casual efficiency of people who'd clearly planned this for weeks. Where exactly am I supposed to go? I asked. Mom patted my shoulder. You're resourceful, honey. You'll figure something out. Maybe that little apartment complex by the highway? I heard they have studios available. I'd bought this house 3 years ago. Saved for 7 years before that. Scraped together $120,000 for the down payment by working double shifts as a hospital data analyst, skipping vacations, driving a car held together by duct tape and prayers. This wasn't just a house. This was my house. No, I said. My father finally looked up. Excuse me. No. You can't have my house. He sighed the way he used to when I was 7 and didn't understand why I couldn't have a pony. Emma, don't be difficult. The deed transfer is already in process. Your mother and I co-signed your original mortgage, remember? That gives us certain legal rights. You co-signed because the bank required it for first-time buyers under 30, I said. That doesn't make you owners. It makes us stakeholders, Dad said. And as stakeholders, we've decided this asset would be better utilized by your sister's growing family. Asset. He called my home an asset. Bethany was already upstairs. I could hear her opening closet doors, discussing paint colors with Derek. I pulled out my phone and called the mortgage company. The customer service representative sounded bored until I said the word fraud. Then I got transferred. And transferred again. And finally reached someone named Marcus in their fraud prevention department. Ma'am, let me pull up your account, Marcus said. I could hear typing. Okay, I'm seeing him. That's unusual. What's unusual? Your down payment. It came from a wire transfer, routing through 3 different accounts before landing in escrow. That's not standard for a personal home purchase. My parents were inside now, directing traffic. Mom was pointing at my furniture, telling the movers what to take to Goodwill. Can you trace where the money originated? I asked. More typing. I'd need to escalate this. But ma'am, if you're reporting potential fraud, we're required to freeze all transactions related to the property pending investigation. Do it, I said. Freeze everything. That includes the deed transfer your parents initiated yesterday. My chest unclenched slightly. Perfect. Marcus called back 4 hours later. In the interim, I'd physically blocked my doorway and told my family they needed to leave. Dad threatened to call the police. I told him to go ahead. He didn't. Ms. Monroe, Marcus said, his voice completely different now. Careful. Almost nervous. I need you to come to our main office downtown. Today if possible. And bring identification. Multiple forms if you have them. Why? Ma'am, I've escalated your case to our security team and they've escalated it to federal authorities. Someone needs to speak with you in person. Federal authorities. I drove to the bank in a daze, my parents' angry texts flooding my phone. Bethany sent a photo of the nursery paint samples with a sad face emoji. The bank's downtown office occupied 3 floors of a glass tower. Security met me in the lobby and escorted me to a conference room where a woman in a gray pantsuit waited. She wasn't from the bank. Ms. Monroe, she said standing. I'm Special Agent Rebecca Sterling, FBI. Please sit down. My legs moved on autopilot. Agent Sterling opened a folder containing documents I couldn't read from across the table. Your mortgage company contacted us about suspicious fund transfers associated with your home purchase, she said. When we ran the account numbers, they flagged in our system. Emma, when was the last time you checked your social security number against federal records? What? Never. She slid a paper across the table. This is your social security card application from 1994. You were 3 years old. The problem is, this social security number was originally issued to a different child. A child named Noah Mara Hayes, born January 12, 1991. The room tilted. Noah Hayes was reported kidnapped from Hermon Park in Houston on June 15, 1991. She was 2 years old. The sheriff investigating the case, Richard Monroe, closed it 6 weeks later, ruling the child had drowned in the park's lake. No body was ever recovered. Richard Monroe. My father. That's impossible, I whispered. I'm Emma Monroe. I have baby pictures. A birth certificate. Agent Sterling pulled out another document. This is Emma Monroe's actual birth certificate. She was born March 3, 1991 in Galveston. She died of SIDS on April 18, 1991 at 6 weeks old. Her death certificate was filed by the attending physician at the hospital. She laid photos on the table. A toddler in a pink dress, dark curls, wide brown eyes. The next photo showed the same face aged to 2. Then 5. Then 10. Then 20. Then 32. The final image looked exactly like me. Your parents didn't adopt you, Emma. They took you. Richard Monroe used his position as sheriff to suppress the investigation into Noah Hayes' disappearance. Meanwhile, he and his wife Linda were already posing as your parents, using a dead infant's birth certificate to establish your identity as Emma Monroe. My hands were shaking. Why? Why would they? Money. Agent Sterling opened another folder. Noah Hayes is the sole heir to the Hayes oil and gas fortune. Her biological parents, Michael and Catherine Hayes, have spent 30 years and approximately $15 million searching for their daughter. They never stopped believing you were alive. She showed me newspaper clippings, aged progression photos, a website, findanohayes.com, that had been updated monthly for 3 decades. After the drowning, your parents received $400,000 from victim compensation funds, insurance payouts, and a settlement from the Park District, Sterling continued. They've been living off that money and subsequent fraud schemes ever since. The down payment on your house that came from a victim restitution fund they fraudulently claimed in 2019, saying they needed money for their adopted daughter's medical expenses. I couldn't breathe. You're saying I've been. You're Noah Hayes, Sterling said gently. You were kidnapped at age 2 by the sheriff who was supposed to be finding you. And everything your parents own, everything they've purchased, invested, or acquired in the past 30 years, was obtained through fraud. The door opened. My father stood there, 2 uniformed officers behind him. Emma, what the hell is going on? He demanded. The bank froze our accounts. They're saying there's a federal investigation. He stopped when he saw Agent Sterling's badge. Richard Monroe, Sterling said standing. You're under arrest for kidnapping, fraud, and conspiracy to defraud victim compensation programs. Dad's face went purple. This is insane. Emma, tell them. Tell them you're my daughter. I stared at him. This man who'd raised me. Who'd taught me to ride a bike. Who'd walked me through my first day of school. Who'd stolen me from my actual parents and let them grieve for 30 years. I'm not your daughter, I said quietly. I'm Noah Hayes. His expression changed. From anger to something colder. Calculating. You can't prove that, he said. It's been 30 years. Any evidence is long gone. It's your word against. We have DNA from the Hayes family, Sterling interrupted. Stored from the original investigation. We compared it to the DNA sample the mortgage company requested when Emma filed her fraud report. It's a match. 99.9% probability that Emma Monroe is biologically Noah Hayes. Dad lunged forward. The officers grabbed him. You ungrateful, he snarled at me. We raised you. We fed you, clothed you, put a roof over your head when your real parents couldn't even keep you safe in a damn park. You kidnapped a toddler and faked her death, Sterling said flatly. Officers, take him. They dragged him out. His shouts echoed down the hallway until a door closed, muffling the sound. I sat there numb. Sterling returned to her seat. Emma. Noah, there's something else you need to understand. Under Texas constructive trust law, any assets acquired through fraud or criminal activity can be claimed by the victim. In this case, that's you. I don't understand. Everything your parents bought with that stolen money. Their house, their cars, their retirement accounts, your sister's college tuition, your mother's jewelry. All of it was purchased with funds obtained through the kidnapping and subsequent fraud schemes. Texas courts can impose a constructive trust, which means all those assets are legally yours. I looked at her. Everything. Everything. Their bank accounts, investment portfolios, the house they're living in, your mother's car. We've traced approximately $2.8 million in assets directly tied to the original kidnapping and fraud schemes. Under constructive trust doctrine, you can claim all of it. What about? I hesitated. What about my house? The one they tried to give to Bethany. Sterling almost smiled. The down payment came from fraud. Technically, you purchased that house with stolen money. Money that was stolen from you. The house is yours free and clear. But your parents' claim to any stake in it is void. My phone buzzed. 17 texts from Bethany. Emma, what the hell? Why are there FBI agents at Mom and Dad's house? They're taking all their files. They're arresting Mom. What did you do? Your mother is being charged as an accessory, Sterling said, reading my expression. She knew about the kidnapping. We have evidence she helped Richard falsify documents and claim victim compensation funds. As for your sister. She didn't know, I said. Did she? We don't believe so. She was born 5 years after the kidnapping. To her, you've always been her sister. I thought about Bethany. How she'd always been the favorite. How our parents had paid for her college while I worked through mine. How they'd bought her a car for her 16th birthday while I took the bus. How they just tried to give her my house. The baby, I said. She's 7 months pregnant. Sterling's expression softened. That's not your responsibility, Noah. But it felt like it was. My biological parents flew in from Houston the next day. Agent Sterling arranged the meeting in a private room at the FBI field office. She warned me it might be overwhelming. He was right. Catherine Hayes was 58, blonde going silver with my exact nose. Michael Hayes was 62, tall and weathered with my eyes. They stood when I entered. Catherine's hand went to her mouth. Noah, she whispered. I stood there, frozen, staring at these strangers who were my parents. You have my mother's smile, Michael said, his voice breaking. God, you look just like her. Catherine took a tentative step forward. May I hug you? I nodded. She wrapped her arms around me and started crying. Deep, shaking sobs that felt like 30 years of grief pouring out all at once. We never stopped looking, she said into my shoulder. Never. Every birthday, every Christmas, every day. We knew you were alive. We knew it. Michael joined the embrace. We stood there, 3 people who were family but complete strangers, holding each other and crying. When we finally separated, Catherine produced a photo album. Baby pictures of me, the real me, Noah Hayes. A chubby toddler with dark curls, wearing a yellow dress. This was taken the day before, Catherine said quietly. We went to Hermon Park for a picnic. You loved the ducks. You kept trying to chase them into the water. She showed me more photos. My nursery. My toys. A birthday party with a cake shaped like a butterfly. You were obsessed with butterflies, Michael said, smiling through tears. You called them flutterbees. We still have your room exactly as it was. We couldn't change anything. They told me about the search. The private investigators. The false leads. The hope that kept them going even when everyone else said to accept that I was gone. The sheriff, Richard Monroe, he told us you'd drowned, Catherine said, her voice hardening. He said you'd wandered to the lake while I was getting our picnic basket from the car. He said the water was dragged, that they'd search for weeks, but you were gone. He seemed so compassionate, so determined to help us. And the whole time. She couldn't finish. The whole time he had you, Michael finished quietly. Living an hour away. Using a dead baby's identity to hide you in plain sight. The constructive trust hearing took place 3 weeks later. My parents, Richard and Linda Monroe, sat on one side of the courtroom with their public defender. I sat on the other with Catherine and Michael Hayes and a team of lawyers from Hayes Oil and Gas. Bethany was there too, 8 months pregnant now, sitting in the back row. She hadn't spoken to me since the arrests. I didn't blame her. The judge reviewed the evidence. Financial records tracing every dollar Richard and Linda had spent since 1991. DNA results confirming my identity. Testimony from federal agents. Documents showing the fraudulent victim compensation claims. This court finds clear and convincing evidence that the defendants, Richard and Linda Monroe, obtained all assets in question through criminal activity, specifically the kidnapping of a minor and subsequent fraud, the judge said. Under Texas constructive trust law, I am imposing a constructive trust on all assets acquired by the defendants from June 15, 1991, to present day. Linda Monroe started crying. Richard just stared straight ahead, his jaw clenched. This includes their primary residence at 4712 Oakmont Drive, currently valued at $680,000. 2 vehicles. Investment accounts totaling approximately $890,000. Retirement accounts totaling $1.2 million. And various other assets bringing the total to approximately $2.8 million. The judge looked at me. These assets are hereby transferred to Noah Mara Hayes, the victim of the defendant's criminal enterprise. Ms. Hayes, you are the legal owner of all assets listed in Exhibit A through G. Just like that, everything my parents owned became mine. I stood in the parking lot afterward, watching Richard and Linda being led to a transport van. Federal prison probably. The prosecutor was pushing for 20 years. Noah. I turned. Bethany stood there, one hand on her belly, tears streaming down her face. I didn't know, she said. I swear to God I didn't know any of it. They told me you were adopted, that Mom couldn't have more kids after me, and they'd brought you home when you were a baby. I thought we were really sisters. We're not, I said quietly. She flinched like I'd hit her. But that's not your fault, I continued. You didn't know. You were a kid when they brought me home. You thought I was your sister because they told you I was. I'm so sorry, she whispered. About the house. About everything. I didn't know they were stealing from you. I didn't know any of it was stolen. I looked at her belly. When are you due? 3 weeks. It's a girl. She wiped her eyes. We were going to name her Emma. 50. But now I don't even know what to call you. Noah, I said. My name is Noah. She nodded. Noah. That's pretty. We stood there in awkward silence. What are you going to do? She finally asked. With their stuff? I'd been thinking about that for weeks. The house they tried to give you, I said. My actual house. I'm keeping it. But their house, the one on Oakmont, I'm selling it. Half the money goes into a trust for your daughter. College fund. Whatever she needs. Bethany's eyes went wide. Noah, you don't have to. I know I don't have to. But your daughter didn't do anything wrong. And she deserves a chance. I paused. The other half is going to organizations that search for missing children. Maybe it can help bring someone else home. She started crying again. Thank you. God, thank you. I'm not doing it for them, I said, nodding toward the van where her parents, sat. I'm doing it because that baby deserves better than being collateral damage in someone else's crimes. Bethany hugged me. I let her. Can I still call you my sister? She asked quietly. I thought about it. About 30 years of lies. About a family that was never real. No, I said. But maybe we can be friends someday. She nodded and walked away. 6 months later I stood in my house. The one I'd bought, the one I'd almost lost, the one that was fully, legally, undeniably mine. Catherine and Michael had invited me to move to Houston. To live in the Hayes estate, to join the family business, to reclaim the life I'd been stolen from. I'd said no. Not because I didn't want to know them. We talked every week now. They'd flown up twice to visit. I'd gone to Houston for Thanksgiving. But I wasn't the same person who'd been kidnapped in 1991. I wasn't that toddler in the yellow dress who loved butterflies. I was Noah Hayes, yes. But I was also the woman who'd worked 2 jobs to save for a down payment. Who'd built a career in data analysis. Who'd survived being raised by her own kidnappers without ever knowing it. I was both. And I needed time to figure out what that meant. The doorbell rang. I opened it to find a delivery person holding a massive bouquet. The card read, "For your new beginning. We love you. M&C." I put the flowers in the front window where I could see them every morning. My phone buzzed.